Good morning, it's today again. Welcome back to Joseph's Reserves. I'm Joseph and I store 20% of my income in the form of rare coins and precious metals. There is a specific price where each gold product actually becomes harder to sell. And this actually has to do mostly with certain size gold switching from a retail product to a wholesale product. Most stackers never really think about this. They spend all their time asking, where do you think gold is going? And I think a much more important question is, at what price does your favorite gold product stop having a healthy retail market? Today I want to explain why I think this matters, why I've started paying much closer attention to this, and how this has completely shifted how I think about fractional gold. Congratulations for Diddy870 for getting to my comment section in my last video first. It really does help the channel when y'all are racing to get to the first comment, so thank you for your support. Y'all go down into the comments to find him and start a conversation. Yesterday while I was at work, someone brought in a 100-gram gold bar and a 50 peso centenario. Now, years ago, this 100-gram bar would have been one of those dream pieces. It's a serious chunk of gold by a highly reputable brand. It would have been highly desirable. It's the kind of thing every gold stacker would love to own. But something interesting has happened. At today's gold prices, that bar has become so expensive that even the people who used to stack them really don't anymore. And it's really because at a very specific price point, this 100-gram bar went from being a retail product to a wholesale product. Most people think that coin shops buy and sell everything the exact same way, but that's not really how it works. Ideally, every shop wants to sell every product as a retail product. That means that either the collector, an investor, or stacker would walk in and buy it. Retail buyers generally pay a bit of a premium and everybody wins. But sometimes a product just sits and sits and sits. And eventually the dealer says, I'm just going to have to move this to wholesale. The wholesale buyers don't really care much about the collectability aspect or stacking for themselves. They are just buying inventory. They're buying just the bullion. That means that margins get thinner and offers get much lower. They're buying to sell it to either a larger wholesaler, a coin shop, or even a refiner. So why is it that big gold pieces like this 100-gram gold bar is now exclusively a wholesale product? Well, as a product climbs to about $10,000, we've noticed that many customers, even those who routinely spend $10,000 or more on gold, don't necessarily want to spend that amount on one single item. Even customers who come in multiple times a week to pick up an ounce or two are not willing to spend more than $10,000 in one transaction. It entirely has to do with the IRS Form 8300 that requires all cash sales over $10,000 to be reported to the IRS. To be exact, what happened to this 100-gram bar is right around $3,000 gold. That gold piece with the premium that was attached hit $10,000, and shops had to lower the premium to stay underneath that mark. Once gold price hit $3,110, the spot price was $10,000, and it was difficult to even sell that piece at spot. Today, you might be able to even get your coin shop to sell it to you at 99.5% of spot, but unfortunately, wholesalers are offering 99% of spot, so you won't be able to really match what they are doing. Really, what this means is possibly even at $2,990, a coin shop would have offered maybe 3 to 4% under spot for this type of product because they were still thinking they could sell it. As soon as we got to $3,000 gold, and especially at $3,100 gold, that offer would have been coming down because now the only output is through wholesale. So in one quick moment, as the gold price crashed through this barrier, the offer became significantly lower. And we're going to see that with more products as gold continues to go up. So to those who regularly stack larger gold coins, be careful about when you plan on selling them. Now, don't get this confused. I'm not saying that when you sell a piece that is more than $10,000, you'll require an 8300 IRS form. That is not the case. When someone buys it from the shop, that is required. So pieces that would have to be sold at higher than $10,000 will automatically be going to a wholesaler, which means you'll get a lower offer. The thing is that as gold price continues to go up, we're going to see a bit of a domino effect hitting the larger pieces of gold. Now, people don't necessarily stack 2-ounce gold coins or 50-gram gold coins, so the next coin with a large stacker base to really get through this threshold is those who stack the 50 peso centenarios. The 50 peso centenarios contain 1.2 ounces of gold, so they will be seeing this happen right around $8,000 gold. So if you are someone who stacks 50 peso centenarios with the plan to sell it for the best offer you can get, I would suggest timing that right before the $8,000 mark. Because the 50 peso is 90% gold, they already get an offer a little bit on the lower side, usually 4 to 5% below spot. But fortunately, there are a lot of collectors who love this coin, so that kind of keeps the demand and offer a little bit higher. But as soon as these stackers are not willing to file that 8300, I could see the demand for these coins dropping dramatically. Of course, I can't see the future, but I could see that $8,000 gold happening within the next 5 years or so, and at that point, the gold offer for these 50 peso centenarios will likely be shooting downward. And of course, once we're at $8,000 gold, $10,000 gold won't seem that far off. So it seems like around that point, the entire market is going to be shifting away from even the 1-ounce gold size. If gold continues to climb over the next decade like that, I believe one fractional size is eventually going to emerge as a new standard. But the question is, which one? Some people would probably argue that the half ounce is the next logical choice. After all, it sits right in between the full ounce and the much smaller fractional pieces. But honestly, I've never thought that the half ounce was a natural choice. Even today, it tends to be one of the least popular fractional sizes. It usually carries a higher premium than a 1-ounce coin while not offering enough savings to attract the buyer who really needs a smaller purchase. Instead, I think that history can point us in a direction. So if you look back at the gold coins that actually circulated as money, not modern bullion products, but the coins people genuinely carried and spent, you'll start to see a pattern. The coins that were circulated the most were the British sovereign, the United States $5 half eagle, and the French and Swiss 20 franc pieces. None of these contain a full ounce. They're actually far from it. They all fall somewhere between 5 and 8 grams of pure gold. That seems to be where humanity has found its sweet spot for hundreds of years. Not too large, not too small. It's large enough to store a meaningful amount of wealth, yet still affordable enough that ordinary people could realistically own them. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think market naturally settles on these sizes that maximize the liquidity. And they do say that history repeats itself, so I would not be surprised if the quarter-ounce gold eventually becomes the new modern equivalent to those historic circulated coins. Not because it's exactly a quarter of an ounce, but because it occupies the same practical range of gold content that has worked for centuries. If I'm right, then something interesting is going to happen. Today's 1-ounce gold coin may suddenly become what the 100-gram gold bar has become today. An excellent store of wealth, but suddenly a wholesale product. Meanwhile, the quarter ounces, the sovereigns, the 20 francs, and the $5 half eagle pieces will become the products that dominate the retail market because they're affordable to a much larger pool of buyers. I can almost guarantee that as soon as 1-ounce gold products become more than $10,000 and require that 8300 IRS form, even those high-level buyers will likely prefer to be buying 2 or maybe 3 quarter-ounce gold coins to stay under that $10,000 limit. More buyers generally means more liquidity, and more liquidity tends to support stronger premiums. Stronger premiums often mean that there's a better exit opportunity when it's time to sell. I'm not saying everyone should run out and convert their stack into quarter-ounce gold. That's not my point at all. My point is simply this. As gold prices rise, the best gold product may change. Not because the metal changed, not because the coins have changed, but because the market has. So my only suggestion is that as you're buying coins now, instead of just wondering how high gold can go, think about what is going to happen to the liquidity of this purchase when gold reaches those extremely high levels. But I'm curious what you think about this, so go ahead and leave your opinion down in the comments. If you like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up, go to the comment section to start or continue a conversation, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video to someone you think may like it or needs to hear it. To my long-term subscribers, thank you so much for your continual support, and make sure you go to josephsreserves.com to check out my merchandise, zip-up bags, coffee mugs, and the It's Today Again coffee. But most of all, thank you so much for watching, and just remember, every ounce adds up, so no matter how small, just keep stacking.